welcome to Let Me Know How It Is, a pop culture podcast about TV, movies, comics, and all things geek. With school season starting back up in most areas, we thought we'd talk about our favorite fictional schools for pop culture. I'm Zach Slater.
I'm Frank Melman.
This is Tommy Smithereen.
And I'm Clifton.
All right, so it's pretty simple. We each have three, and we're going to go around kind of not Red Robin style, round robin style.
Yum.
I love Red Robin.
Me too.
Me too.
Let's talk about that.
No,
Yeah, we
another
should.
episode later.
A1 peppercorn burger is the best.
Endless fries.
That's very true. Campfire sauce.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Campfire sauce.
Wow. Yep. I guess we're doing an episode of Red Robin. No, all right. So, Clifton, why don't you start us off? Let's mix it up a bit.
All right, so we're doing back to school. One of the ones I was thinking of, like if you know us, this is one I think everyone's got something to chime in on here, and that is Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters.
Yep.
AKA Xavier's Institute for Higher Learning, AKA Xavier's School for Gifted Children, AKA the X-Mansion, AKA Xavier's Institute for Mutant Education and Outreach, among many, many other things. It's been a staple of comics since the mid-'60s, so it has had lots of different names.
Yes.
We don't generally call kids youngsters anymore,
Right.
but
Right.
that's what it was for a while.
Everybody cross this one off your list.
Yay.
No, I'm doing it as we speak.
Yes, yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
No matter what name you had it under.
Yeah, mine was Gifted Youngsters.
Academy X, I don't know what else it's been called.
I just had it as X Mansion in my
Okay.
notes. But okay, so start us off. So what's the deal here? We all love it, clearly, but
Right.
why do you love it?
Right. So this was the the ancestral home of Charles Xavier, Xavier, that he turned into a school for to help children like him who were coming into their mutant abilities, didn't know how to use them or what to do with them. So he made it his mission to go out and find these children who needed help to help them. And so, over the years, it's been a boarding school for people with all sorts of superpowers and weird abilities, and just helps them, figure out how to get by in life and also fight evil mutants. That's pretty much sums it up.
Yes. It also gets destroyed an awful lot.
Yes.
Yes.
They have to rebuild that school quite a few times over the years.
It felt like every season.
And they probably just change its name every time. So that's where all the name changes come from.
My X-Men reading has been very spotty over the years.
Mhm.
I liked it when it became kind of like a school,
Mhm.
right? It was always called a school, but it was just kind of like it was just sort of like a house where all the X-Men lived.
Yeah.
I felt like in the comics where nobody approached it as school that often outside of the original 5 stuff.
Right. Yeah. That's what you had. You had the original 5 who were teenagers at the time of the original X-Men started in the mid-'60s, the Lee and Kirby stuff. And then they were aged up. And then you didn't really have it being used so much as a school again until New Mutants. Because they had aged up most of the main ones as adults, and then they brought in around the giant size X-Men #1 more adults. So the team was basically populated by all adults. And then you have Kitty Pryde that they reach out to around a little before Dark Phoenix saga and all that, and the Hellfire Club saga. And she was still kind of an outlier though. So she was the one teen that was hanging out with all these adults. And then you first get it going back to a school a little bit when you get the first class of New Mutants being Wolfsbane and Sunspot. Cannonball, yeah. Karma and Danny Moonstone.
Right.
So that was when it first revisited being a school. And then after that, you did kind of get it hitting and missing over the years too. Like that there weren't always students there.
I read a little bit of the original Lee and Kirby stuff. Yeah, and I remember that there was panels in there where Xavier would be sort of kind of like a danger room thing before the danger room existed, but it was it would be Beast jumping through hula hoops and stuff and balancing himself on things, and it was it was always physical.
Yeah, it wasn't quite the same.
Right. Yeah, it was always very, very physical, how to actually just control your powers. And then somewhere down the line, it started feeling more like a college, but where it wasn't just the mansion, it had a campus.
Right.
I feel and we're in addition to like taking flight classes and stuff because you have wings, you would take physics also, or you would take,
Right.
history and sociology. And
And I always liked that.
Yeah, I don't know when that started. That probably didn't start until, 2000, right? Like around the time of the movie that started portraying it a little bit more like that.
I want to say it's Morrison's run because Wolverine's like after Morrison's run, Wolverine they renamed the institute like the Jean Grey Institute for
right.
Blah 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 blah. I can't remember what it was, but that was the last time it was. I remember it being a school because there's a whole lot of like there's Quentin Quire and Glob Herman and the rest of them that are brought in at that point.
And Grant Morrison's run did start like a month or two after the movie premiered in 2000. So
that's what I was going to say. They're very close.
Lined up.
Yeah. So that might be
very close.
Yeah, that might be where we get it because he was pretty adamant because then you get that and then you get right after his new X-Men, you get the new X-Men, which introduces a whole nother slew of like teenage kids.
Right. And that's when they did the Academy X stuff.
Yeah, that's too. Right.
I remember in that first movie though too, it was like you see Xavier like actually like teaching a small class that's got like that had like Jubilee and Kitty in there and stuff like that. But there's that scene where the Blackbird is like coming out of the basketball court,
right?
And you see the ball, but you see like kids like other kids that you don't know who they are. They're looking out the window out the dorms.
Yeah,
like yeah.
And then X2 has the scene where the mansion gets stormed, where the school gets invaded, and like you got kids running for it, and some using their powers, and it's a really cool scene. But yeah, it's definitely
I love that bit from that movie.
It's a great scene. It's definitely heavily inhabited though. There's a lot of kids in that school.
There's something. This is a stupid observation, but there's something about attacking in the middle of the night when everyone's in their pajamas and running barefoot that makes everybody feel so freaking vulnerable.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But yeah, good one. Very, very good one. I really enjoy this one. And yeah, and I was thinking Morrison too did a lot of like heavy lifting too. And then I always remember like the Joss Whedon line from Astonishing X-Men when it was like, oh my God, you teach ethics to Emma, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is anybody doing any cool stuff with it lately? Do we know?
In a way,
yeah, kind of.
It's part of. Okay. I don't want to say too much because you still don't know why they would do that, but it's kind of sort of they did. But weird trifecta. When you say Morrison's run came out during the movie, what's weird too is X-Men Evolution came out during that time as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Like it was a trifecta in which they wanted to represent the school stronger than it ever had.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. I was forgetting that was right around the same time too. It might have been just slightly after the movie and Morrison's run started, but animation would have obviously gone into production before that.
Before that, yeah.
And that does very much show.
Yeah, that's a fun one too.
In that one, they go to public school for the most part, but have like their mutant classes at the mansion. They've got like the people there are their mentors in being mutants and using their powers, but then they do attend a public school for normal classes. And I think like their idea is to, get along with normal students, the non-mutant students.
Yeah.
Which doesn't always work out.
Super underrated show. I love X-Men Evolution. I don't care who knows it. It's great.
We always say good stuff about it. X-Men Evolution.
Yeah, sure.
Well, it's just one of those never gets brought up. Everybody talks about the 90s series.
Right.
Yeah, no, you're right. And what's crazy is they added to their mythos or whatever with X-23.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just worked a lot of ideas that weren't really pushed into the X-Men at that time.
I think that's a lot of people don't realize, or maybe don't realize that that's where X-23 came from, was the X-Men Evolution series.
She's the Harley Quinn of that show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then her comic appearance is also kind of not big on the radar, but it was in the series NYX.
Mm-hmm.
It was a series. It was a very interesting series. It's Quesada and Josh Middleton on art, and I think her first comic appearance is number 4 of that run.
It's a good looking book.
Yeah, and Middleton's art was so good at the time. I mean, his art's always good, but his art on that book is amazing.
Yeah, like out of nowhere, like, whoa, who is this guy?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
Since we're taking top tier stuff, I'll go high. And this time, I'm going to discuss Greendale Community College.
Okay. From?
Community.
Okay.
Have you ever seen Community?
Once I've seen it. Once I've seen it.
Oh, there's like 10 great episodes that are classic TV. we got to show you, but
I knew this was going to be on someone's list. I thought Frank might be cursing your name now.
No, not at all. No.
Oh no, this
Frank is scribbling on his notepad right now.
Yeah,
writing "F you, Tommy." On
No, I just scribbled "no fate" because now I have nothing. So.
Actually, if you think about it, you have another, but this one is going to be huge overlap.
Oh, okay.
Frank, if you have nothing else, then you could talk about your 3 favorite menu items on Red Robin.
Oh, awesome! I'll do that.
A lot of free publicity from us today.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead, Tommy. I'm sorry.
Greendale Community College is where all the craziness and madness ensues off the show Community. I mean, nonstop. The most classes that you would never take at a regular college. An amazing cast of characters. I mean, I know. Frank was definitely going to bring it up at one point, if not the only thing he'll bring it up. So yeah, but no, I love that show.
Okay.
It gave us Donald Glover.
Yes.
Yes.
It's set it's somewhere in Colorado. Some people think it's Denver, right?
Is it Colorado?
Yeah.
I was like,
it's supposed to be.
I never knew that.
Yeah, no. What I like about it, I've watched it a couple times through. So I've definitely seen it a couple times. No, I love the bit at the beginning. It opens with the dean, played by Jim Rash.
Jim Rash, yes.
Oscar winner Jim Rash, giving a speech about he's basically welcoming people to the community college. And he goes, I know some people say that Greendale is loser college. It's a college for people that are at like the end of their life. And they show Chevy Chase's character, Pierce, and then divorcees, and they show Yvette Nicole Brown's character, Shirley. I can't remember the other ones are, but they all basically describes every character in this speech except for Joel McHale. And then he meets Abed for the first time, played by Danny Pudi. And then it's basically you get the background of the idea that Joel McHale, Jeff Winger is a lawyer who got a degree from Columbia.
Okay.
And then finds out that it's not valid because he got it from the Columbia, the place, not Columbia University. So then he has to basically earn all of his credits back to become a lawyer again. That's the premise of the show.
Okay.
The first season's got John Oliver and who else? Like a bunch of other people are in this first season.
As professors as instructors,
as teachers. He's Professor Duncan. He's like the psychology is it the psychology teacher, right, Tommy?
Yeah, the psychology. I think it's psychology.
Who happens to be friends with Winger, Jeff Winger, and Winger wants him to get it's one of those wants him to get the answers to all the tests for all of his classes, so he didn't have to he can basically just get back to being a sleazy lawyer again. And then ends up finding out. Then he ends up meeting everybody from the study group, and that's basically your show. So
yeah, the fake study group he created, but it convinces them to stay.
Yes, he created a fake study group because he wanted to hit on Gillian Jacobs' character Britta. And then
go
ahead.
I have a stupid question.
Sure.
Because I've seen one episode and it was a Christmas special that was claymation.
Okay.
So I don't know that
so you're very well versed in the show.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. It's not an accurate telling of what the show is normally. What are the set pieces? What are the regular set pieces for Community? Like
the study group is like in the library. They have their actual the room that they meet in, which is basically like the bar at Cheers.
Okay. So it's a study room in the library.
Yeah, they've got a couple tables there, and then first season, Ken Jeong is Senor Chang. He's the Spanish teacher.
Yes.
So they're all that was one thing about the show is they take a class together every season, or they try to, so that they have something that to agree together to study, quote unquote, for.
Okay.
So it's not just the idea of they're doing wacky stuff every, there's not there's not wacky stuff every episode or every season, but there is. But the general idea is, no, we're going to take biology together or anthropology, like second season's anthropology, right? And they're going to take anthropology together, and they're going to meet in the again, I guess the study room to get together. And there's even one point where another group is using the time like in there when they're supposed to be in there, and that creates a rivalry and stuff like that. So, but that there's there, and then like Senator Chang's classroom, and then there's also the dean's office / like the desk where like the reception desk is.
Okay.
But like the cafeteria is another one, the quad is another one. So yeah,
got it. Okay.
There's a lot of different set pieces for it. And then there's obviously stuff like when they do, Paintball Assassin, or they do
right.
Or they have the episode where that's the take on Goodfellas when they have the chicken fingers early on.
I've never even heard of this one. I've heard of the paintball episode. I haven't seen a lot, but I've heard of the paintball one. I've not heard of the chicken fingers.
There's an episode where chicken fingers are like the best thing in the cafeteria. So they want to corner, like Jeff gets the idea of like, we should find a way. We need a man on the inside. So they do the thing of where they get Abed to work the fryer. And then then he begins to give them all, they get the chicken fingers from that point on. And then chicken fingers become a commodity, and they basically become power brokers with the chicken fingers for like to get all the things they want. So I think they even do a oneer, like that scene where they go to the Henny Youngman show in Goodfellas.
Right.
Yeah. So as an homage to Goodfellas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like the long take, like through the crowd type thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Like
the one about the one about never, once you're behind the velvet rope, you never want to go on the other side again. So
right.
Yeah. Community's great. I've spoken about Community many times on the podcast, so I'm no different now. I knew Tommy would bring it up if I didn't, so I was like, if I go second, then fine. If not, I'll go third. It's fine.
Right.
But yeah, love that show. That show is far and away, one of those shows like a Taxi or Cheers or WKRP with a great ensemble. They do a lot of very, very funny episodes, a lot of memorable stuff. And then, like I said, the people they get that are outside of it, it's another one of those shows where they get a lot of people that are in it for a couple episodes, or they're recurring guest stars.
Right.
Like Jack Black.
Like Jack Black. Like the first Christmas episode they have is the one with Anthony Michael Hall, which is really good.
Yeah. As a bully.
Yeah. As a bully, no. It's awesome. But yeah, they do like one of the Christmas episodes. I've talked about before. I like the claymation one, but the one I like about it is the one that the takeoff on Glee is really good. Where they find out that the original Glee Club died in a bus accident.
Okay.
And they need the guys trying to recruit and get the study group to be the new Glee Club. So
what's his name from SNL? I can't think of his name.
Yeah, I can't either, but
yeah,
it's a good episode.
But no, they always do a parody episode of something.
Yes,
whether it's Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah, that's a great one too.
Goodfellas, Westerns.
Well, the other thing is, like, a lot of times thematically, what they'll tie a lot of stuff together. So you'll have, like, when the Paintball Assassin one, it's a lot of like John Woo homage parts. Like Ken Jeong is definitely when Ken Jeong gets in the game, he's the John Woo stuff, and then there's a Die Hard bit, and then there's a lot of good things they pull from, stuff that you would know. So
cool.
Yes.
All right. Why don't you segue into your number 3 then?
Fine. So then, now that since Community was taken, since Greendale Community College, I was thinking about schools that I liked, and I thought about
is there a school in Moonlighting?
Yes, there is. That's the one I'm going with. You got it.
Okay.
Oh no, no, there's not the school Moonlighting. Dick. No, I was just looking at fictional schools, and I thought, oh yeah, Ridgemont High. Who doesn't love Ridgemont High?
Right.
Okay.
Fast Times.
And the Fast Times that are found within Ridgemont High.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High, it's Cameron Crowe. It's one of his earlier films. I think it might be his first one, based on a series of articles he wrote for Rolling Stone when he was like kid. I mean, it's not chronologically the right one, because I think when he was a kid, what's the movie that's based on his life when he was
right. That's the one with where he's like with the Zeppelin band Stillwater in the film. But
yes,
it was inspired by Zeppelin.
What's
and
the name
Kate
of that movie?
Hudson and
what
is that? Why am I drawing a blank on that? I've seen that a bunch.
Who's in that? Is that the Kate Hudson movie?
Yeah. But in Francis,
that's almost famous.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you. And Frances McDormand is his mother in that one, right?
And Zooey Deschanel is his sister. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So that was the one that's based like when he was a kid cub reporter for Rolling Stone. But Fast Times is like, if I remember correctly, the idea was that he kind of goes undercover and goes back to school to get an idea of what school was like for kids in the 80s. Because even though he's a little beyond that, because he was, I guess, in the 70s.
Okay.
But he goes back into school. And It's a great movie. It's got a ton of people in it.
Yeah.
Jennifer Jason Leigh, Phoebe Cates, Judge Reinhold,
right.
A young Forrest Whitaker,
Mm-hmm.
Sean Penn as Spicoli, a role that he was awesome in, but he doesn't seem to like anymore. So,
right.
you know, but no, I love this movie. It's a great movie, and I love the fact that like there's Mr. Hand, was he a math teacher, I think.
Yeah.
And he's got those great bits with and it's Ray Walton. No,
sounds right. I'll look it up real quick. Okay, that sounds right.
But he was in like I know the guy from like he was in My Favorite Martian with Bill Bixby, where it was like the whole where he was the guy that was the alien and Bill Bixby was the straight man, and there was always every week it was Martin, I believe was the character's name, was always trying to get it's like I Dream of Jeannie or Bewitched. There was always something crazy going on in the episode, but then it was like, oh, we have to explain it away some way, but really he's a Martian.
Right.
But anyway, he plays Mr. Hand.
Ray Walston. You were very close. Ray Walston. Thank you. Plays Mr. Hand. And you've got the guy, what's his name? Plays Mr. Vargas, the science teacher. What's that guy's name? But I know he's married to Elise Beasley, who played Miss DePesto on Moonlighting. Okay.
In reality,
Mr. Vargas is Vincent.
There it is. What's his name, Clifton?
It always comes back to Moonlighting.
For me, it does. Yes.
Mr. Vargas was Vincent Schiavelli.
Yes, you might know him as the ghost that shows Patrick Swayze how to do ghost stuff in Ghost.
Okay. Oh my God!
What?
He was married to Mr. Pesto?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they're married in real life.
Oh.
Yeah, and fun fact about Moonlighting. If you've ever seen the episode where they're stuck on a train, that's where they actually one of the few times they've ever acted.
I remember him on the show.
Yeah, they've ever acted together was in that episode. But no, Fast Times at Ridgemont High is awesome. It's a coming of age movie. I can never remember the guy that plays Mark Radner, but there's like all these different characters, and they all basically go in and out of each other's lives. Some of them like Jennifer Jason Leigh and Judge Reinhold are brother and sister.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it's about growing up too fast. Some of it's about like losing your virginity. Some of it's just about you want to go to a party and you steal you steal, quote unquote, borrow your brother's car, that kind of thing.
Mm.
So
yeah, you mentioned it was Cameron Crowe who wrote it. It was Amy Heckerling that directed.
There you go. Okay, very good.
It was one of Amy Heckerling's. It was her first feature, I think. I will double check that. Yeah, she had done a short film before it, but Fast Times at Ridgemont High is the first feature film she directed before she went on to do Johnny Dangerously, and which we had mentioned earlier, which is why there's a laugh, because Tommy brought it up earlier. And Look Who's Talking, Clueless, Loser, ton of other stuff.
I love Clueless.
Well, she's great. Amy Heckerling's fantastic, and Clueless is so good. But Zach and I were at New York Comic Con and in a panel with Amy Heckerling one of the last times we went, which was, I guess, about 5 years ago. And she had some stories about filming Fast Times at Ridgemont High that were funny. And one of them had to do with Nicolas Cage being in it.
Right.
And that he had been in Valley Girl before that. And she's very good friends with Martha Coolidge, who directed Valley Girl. And so she's filming Fast Times at Ridgemont High around the time Valley Girl is out. And Nicolas Cage is very good in Valley Girl. And apparently, like, she could not get him to do anything in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And like, it was driving her crazy to where she would go to Martha Coolidge and be like, how did you get him to act? Like, what is happening? Like, I can't get him to do anything. And she talked about how like Sean Penn and Judge Reinhold and a lot of the others would love to, improvise stuff and just come up with stuff on the fly. And like young Nicolas Cage would try to do it, but the stuff he would come up with was just so bizarre. Like it would just confuse everybody. And the other fun thing I remember had to do with Sean Penn and Ray Walston.
Okay.
And she talked about that dynamic of saying that like Ray Walston was, this longtime veteran, old Hollywood actor,
right,
who came up in the old system. And Sean Penn is, of course, super method and all about what was the new system at that time coming out of like New Hollywood. And so he would, just, improvise on the spot, like whatever, like wherever emotions took him in a scene, he would go there and he would deviate from the script all the time just because it would like he'd be moved to do something else. And Ray Walston was like, buy the book, read what's on the script.
Right. Hit your mark.
Don't change a word.
Right.
Yeah. And he was that. And so like Ray Walston would go and complain to Amy Heckerling and he'd be like, these kids are driving me crazy. Like they can't just read the script. And it's like, I don't know, like my cues, like I don't know what to do. And Amy Heckerling said that like she loved that about the character, like that he was getting like so exasperated with these kids on screen.
Right.
So like she would tell him like, okay, like I'll talk to them. And then she would go to Sean Penn and be like, keep doing what you're doing. It's great. Because she liked it being on screen. Like you could see his frustration.
Nice.
She also said that she's not quite sure why Paul Rudd's not aging.
Oh, yeah,
I remember
that also came up in the panel. A kid asked her what it was like to work with Paul Rudd because she worked with him later on a film called I Will Never Be Your Woman with Michelle Pfeiffer. And she said he is strangely not aging in all this time because she worked on him with Clueless too, of course.
Yes. Yeah. He hadn't aged a day or something since Clueless.
Yeah, it's funny when I see like him in This Is 40, I'm like, you're not fooling anyone. You're not 40. But also, I forgot. You forgot Brian Backer was the guy that plays Mark Ratner, who's kind of like the typical, like nerdy kind of good guy in this.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also I can't believe I forgot Robert Romanus, who plays Mike Damone.
Okay,
who's kind of the sleazy good best friend of Mark Ratner's, who's kind of like trying to get like the kind of an Eddie Haskell kind of a man, I got everything under control kind of guy, when really that guy doesn't have anything under control. But yeah, it's a great movie. A lot of fun.
Okay.
A lot of good stuff. Has everyone seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Yeah. There's no shock there.
No, not at all.
You'd like it. I think you'd like it a lot. Yeah.
So it's just a spot where like it's a fun place to go to school.
It is. I mean, it's just a very good, like, I like that, for being a fictional high school, it's just the idea that, no, there's a lot, like the stories that go on there and the stuff that happens. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
it's possibly, it's one of the like first of the 80s teen movies, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Where it's, you had like in the 70s, you had like the screwball teen comedies, but then they get kind of toned down a bit in some ways and not in other ways. But to what became the 80s movie, like Fast Times at Ridgemont High is the transition between 70s screwball teen movies and like John Hughes.
Yeah. Because it definitely, I mean, it's funny. Don't get me wrong. It's very funny, but it also tries, it also has, it also tries to tell you some stuff too.
Yeah. Lessons are learned.
Yeah, very much so. Oh my God. Yeah. Lessons are learned.
Okay.
But yeah, it's very funny as well.
I had a hard time with this episode because I had just like, when you're just like kind of thinking in a loop sometimes, and you're just like just getting like the same things coming in your head over and over and over again.
Okay.
That was my prep for this. Like I couldn't think of anything outside of like just a handful of what I have, and one of them was the X Mansion. Okay. Right. So but as you guys are talking, I got getting like a ton in my head because I was like, man, I didn't even think about all those 80s movies. So like Clueless was jumping into my head. It's 95, but Clueless was in my head, and Ferris Bueller and all that stuff and everything.
Yeah.
But one of the ones that jumped into my head, you guys have all known me for a long time, and you guys all know I'm lazy as hell. So I'm going to say The Matrix.
Really?
Right?
Okay.
Just that bit where they're all sitting in the chair and getting a wire plugged into their head, and then it's like, I know Kung Fu.
Okay.
I would love that.
So just that they get their information jacked in.
Yeah. Even though we kind of have that, it's called YouTube now. Right. So if like you need to like change your toilet, like you can look up how to do that.
So it's fine as long as humanity's being harvested.
Right.
Yeah, about to say. Yeah.
As long as you can learn Kung Fu and innocent.
But yeah, you can learn stuff.
Okay.
You could have also gone with the beds in Venture Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Slightly less dark, I guess. Yeah.
No, it's pretty dark.
It's still pretty dark.
It is pretty dark. Yeah.
Yes.
Because Dean seems haunted by it when he keeps talking about what happens in his bed.
All punch cards, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Good stuff.
So yeah, you just want instantaneous learning. That's what that's the school you want from pop culture.
That'd be awesome.
I gotcha.
I just go through the course catalog. Oh, I'll take that today. There we go.
I don't know.
Just not the human battery part.
I'll take the philosophy of John Locke today. Just,
wow.
There it is.
Wow.
Got it.
Wow.
That's right.
I could be one of those guys that recite Shakespeare to you.
Oh God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It'd be awesome.
Ugh.
Take electrical engineering so that they can turn on a light on that ship.
Right.
Stuff like that, right?
Just to turn on a light, you're gonna get a full degree. Oh my God. Yeah, just don't turn it to the what you call it, the taskmaster, where you only some amount of memories you can keep in your head.
Or
yeah,
or Prometheus.
Right.
Yes.
I love Prometheus.
Yes.
Justice League bad guy. He's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, all right. So Clifton, what's your number 2?
Okay, so number 2, this one probably not going to go into as depth as some of the others, but it's King's Dominion from Deadly Class. The name of their school is King's Dominion.
Oh,
Okay.
yes. That's a great school. Good job.
Yeah, it's I'm only familiar with it from the show, though. I've not read the comic. I know Tommy has read the comic, so Tommy might be able to give us some information on if it's different in the comics or not. But in the school, in the show, how they, or the school in the show, how they portray it is it's a boarding school to basically raise assassins.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like different factions of them in the school. So it's kind of like that's how they portray the cliques.
Yes.
So there's like the Russian mafia and like the bunch of punks, but like the Italian, like, or I'm trying to think of what all this, like whatever you can think of as being like a generic like crime family.
Mm-hmm.
Sends their kids to this school.
The Yakuza is one.
Like the Yakuza, yeah.
And then there's the Mexican cartel.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the Colombians. And then there's the FBI.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
All the factions.
The sadder part was I love what they portrayed in the comic.
Okay.
But it was deeply more fleshed out in the show. Like what the comic did was present all the factions at once. And so you knew who the players were, right?
Right.
But in the show, they show the factions in slowly and give a more of an in-depth look to the headmaster.
Okay.
In which he all had deals with each crime family in order to protect them, in order to make them the head of their families.
Right.
Oh, and then there was the is it the Bloods or the Crips? There's another one too with the West Side.
Oh yeah. I remember that. And the character in the show who's from that gang is a pacifist.
Yes.
Kind of like forced into this school where you learn how to kill people.
Yes.
It was a really good show. Lasted 1 season on Sci-Fi. I do recommend it out there for if anyone can find it. I'll look up where it is, where it's streaming, if it's streaming.
Yeah, they do a lot of backstory.
That was Russo brothers, right?
They produced it, yes.
Producers.
And like the headmaster at the school in the show was Benedict Wong from Doctor Strange, who plays Wong in Doctor Strange. One of the other professors was Henry Rollins, and I love seeing Henry Rollins pop up anywhere. Yeah, it's always great to see him.
That's cool.
Ooh, Clifton, don't forget the girl that was in
Lana Condor. Lana Condor she's huge on Netflix in To All the Boys I Loved Before. And she was one of the leads in Deadly Class. She's very good. She's from the Yakuza family. And then there was also like the racist, like the Southern Mafia, like the Dixie Mafia.
Dixie Mafia.
They were like all clans. Because in the show it's set in the 80s too. So the Cold War's still going. So there's a Russian student that looks like Dolph Lundgren in Rocky 4.
Yeah.
Nice.
Was Rocky. Was that Rocky 4 or was that Rocky 3?
Rocky 3.
That's 4.
That is 4. Okay.
You're right.
That is good. I was right. Okay, yeah.
No, I forgot about that aspect in the book. Yeah. But what's better in the show is they try to mimic the music from the 80s.
Yeah, it's got great soundtrack. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So I do recommend that one.
So this was like a kind of it was like a take on a prep school.
Yes.
Sort of, right? It wasn't like a 9 to 3.
No, it was
like, or 7 to 3. It was like you slept there.
Yeah, it was like evil Hogwarts. It was a boarding school. Mm-hmm. And that is something I did talk about. Another friend of ours who had seen it, and he had read the comics, and his hesitation on the show is that the show portrays the school itself as like mahogany and dark lighting and kind of shadowy in the corridors. And his impression was that the comic was not like that. In the comic, it's like a public school, like what you just picture is like a normal school, bright lighting. linoleum or something. And so he thought that they were like trying to use that like lighting and darkness as shorthand for edgy. And I'm like, I think it was just kind of shorthand for boarding school. It was after we had seen Hogwarts, like it's just kind of what people think of like these hallowed halls and like a lot of history behind a school or something. So that's what I kind of interpreted it as.
Yeah, I got to check it out. I've heard good things. You've been telling me about it, talking to me about it for a while.
It's on Peacock. The one season there is on Peacock currently.
Still sad it never got picked up again.
Yeah.
I was really hoping. That was at the time where like Netflix was kind of like saving everything.
Right. Yeah, I was hoping they would because it stars one of their big stars.
Yeah, it seems up their alley.
But I was going to say real quick, the book is by Remender.
Yes, that's right, Rick Remender.
And the artist is Wes Craig on it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Tommy, what's your number 2?
Ooh, I love that. I forgot about Kings of Me. I'm mad at that. I was gonna, you know what? I'm gonna go low. I was gonna say
this
something.
This is gonna be awesome, everybody.
Because I believe I was gonna step on Frank's toes on this next one, so I'm gonna go low. No, I'm gonna go low. I'm gonna go what helped inspire me to go to North Carolina A&T.
Okay.
And that's Hillman College.
Ah.
Okay. A different world?
Yes. The fictional HBCU from Virginia. Hillman College in a different world.
Right.
I was looking at it recently came up on HBO Max. That's why it's fresh in my mind.
I'm kind of doing a deep dive on A Different World now because I'm watching it on Fridays, like while I'm making dinner.
Yeah.
Because because like BET Her is playing it at like 6 at night. So I'm watching it a lot. Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. It's a great show.
It's a great show. And what's nice is the first season was nice with can't think of her name.
Lisa Bonet and Marissa Tomei.
Thank you. Yes, yes, and Marissa Tomei in the first season, where it's almost airy. It's almost a whole different feel when Debbie Allen takes over as the showrunner.
Yeah,
she brings up certain characters, spotlight on others. They make the focal point Whitley instead of Lisa Bonet.
Right.
Yeah, Denise. They change key characters. Marissa Tomei's gone. They bring in Cree Summer and Janelle. I forgot her name. Kimberly Breese. I forgot her real name. They bring in her. I mean, but the dynamics are so much more inclusive of what happens on the HBCU. I mean, I was surprised because in the first season it felt more like a general college. It just expanded it just a little bit more, and they'd always have famous guest stars. I think Robert Guillaume was on it one time for a little bit. Of course, Gwen Turman was on it for a bit. I'm trying to think of there's so many. And in one episode, they even have the Keenan Wayans, Damon Wayans.
Yeah. I saw that one recently.
Yeah.
I saw that one recently because I didn't know about it. And I'm watching. I'm like, oh, there's Damon Wayans, and then Keenan Ivory Wayans showed up. I'm like, he's in this one too. I'm like, there's Kim Wayans. And my wife was like, how many are there? I'm like, there's a lot.
Yeah, there were. In one episode, there's like 3 of them, and they never come back as even a cast member. But no, I love that show. I just love that show.
I was like, I started to get fascinated about it, and I was researching a little bit, like, because it is so different from season 1 and 2.
Yes.
Right? Like, it really kind of like finds its voice in season 2. Season 1 is fine. Like, it's fine. But, you know, like, it's just interesting. We're like, we're going to keep these characters, and then we're going to bring in all these new people. What I liked about it is that like they were stressed out.
Yes.
Like like it was like one of the only instances I could think of that acknowledged like hard work and sleepless nights, and you know what I mean? And I really like that about it.
Difficult classes. I mean, certain things are just exuded with what they did on the show. And I like how like, for example, Ron, he went from a weak sidekick to Dwayne to a ladies' man that gets girls or whenever he can, or smooth talks. I was like, but it was the aspect of school in which dudes just think that they can, coast.
Yeah.
From beginning to end. Oh my goodness! And then they would have food at the pit. What else? I just loved it. I love that show, top to bottom.
Right.
I remember one of the moments I really like in that one is when Dwayne is trying to he's avoiding the class that the ROTC teacher is teaching.
Yeah. Yes.
Because he's like really hard on him, and Sinbad ends up meeting up with him like at the gym or something, and he's like, "There's this kid Dwayne, right? I'm gonna recommend him for your class, right?" Completely goes against what Dwayne asked him to do, and he's like, "He's a good kid. You got to push him a little bit, but he's a good kid." And he's like, "I got you. We'll work on him." And I'm like, I love that moment.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
What's that, Dr. War when Glenn Thurman comes on there? Yeah. So for no for time, I'm gonna cut mine. Yeah. Hillman, different world.
No, it's awesome. Awesome show. And there was like a closeness, and they like to have fun, which I like too. Like you know, like it was a very nice mix. And it impresses me every time. We're like, because even as it went on, like cast members also continue to like come and go.
Yes.
And just the show's ability to like completely like still like kind of like reinvent itself, even but stay the same.
Yes.
You know, it's impressive. Yeah.
Huh. You ever see School Days?
No.
I think I guarantee he has not seen School Days.
No. So far, the things you guys have mentioned that I've seen today are Clueless, Rocky IV, and A Different World, which I'm watching now.
Yeah. Well, no. The reason I bring up School Days is School Days comes a year before A Different World. Mm-hmm. If you can watch it or just look at the cast list, that's all I'm telling you, Zach.
Okay.
Just do that.
All right.
It's a good one.
Is that the one with Brendan Fraser screaming in the rain?
No.
Not
even remotely.
Yeah, not even remotely.
What's the one I'm thinking of?
The one I'm hoping you're thinking of is Spike Lee joint.
Okay.
But the one you're thinking of, you said Brendan Fraser screaming into the wind?
Yeah, it's Brendan Fraser, right? And it's like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are in there before we knew who they were.
That's School Ties.
That's School Ties.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Nice. Another school show, though. But
right, yeah. Okay. Frank, what's yours? Number 2.
Screaming in the rain. No.
I just remember that commercial from a kid.
I know. Yes, definitely not the same thing.
Yeah.
Mine is one that's pretty broad. I thought someone would have had it. I thought Tommy might have had it since Lower Decks has come back on, and that would be Starfleet Academy.
That's a good one.
That's not what I thought at all.
Yeah.
I would have thought that would have been one that someone would have had, but yeah. So it's one of the things where I've always enjoyed all the stuff with Starfleet Academy. I think it's a cool idea that it's set in San Francisco.
Right.
The idea that of all the places in the world that it could be, that's where it is.
Right.
Do
you know, was it talked about in the original 60s Star Trek, or did it come about by like Next Generation in the movies?
I want to say,
I thought it's Next Generation.
I want to say Next Gen because you get a lot of stuff with Picard talking about Boothby, which again was played by...
Was that Ray Walston as well?
Ray Walston played Boothby as well.
Yeah,
it's very
I can picture it now. I wouldn't have thought of it, but I can picture it.
A very Ray Walston heavy episode of the podcast, but yeah, it's because he used to talk about that, and that was the thing that you would go and talk to Boothby, and I think it's one of those, or after a while, like a lot of those just like, you know, at least had an episode or a nod to that bit of, you know, Picard talking about that. I don't believe so. It might be in, well, I want to say it's in one of the Star Trek movies, the one with Kirk. It might be.
Yeah, it does show up in a movie, but I think it's a movie that came out after Next Generation had started.
Because well, I'm trying to think, but I thought there was something in, I want to say it's Wrath of Khan when they're in like, it's the whole thing about the fact that Kirk is getting older, because that's the first place we hear about the Kobayashi Maru.
Okay.
And the unwinnable situation. And I thought that's where you get the speech of, you know, where you get McCoy talking to him about, you know, basically telling him, you've never really faced death.
Right.
Right. And that's still basically the whole, you know, the whole movie is Kirk processing all that stuff. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember when it showed up. But it is interesting, like you said, that it's San Francisco because, like, San Francisco was known as the hippie, hotspot.
Right.
And it's interesting that they placed their Starfleet headquarters in what would have been known as, you know, one of the most peace-loving places.
Right.
In America at the time is an interesting kind of juxtaposition, I think.
Yeah, because I can't remember, but when we were talking about Kirk, I mean, obviously it's like the whole idea that Kirk is from Iowa, Isn't that where he's from?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That Kirk is from Iowa, and I can't remember where that first comes up, whether that's in the original 60s stuff or not.
Yeah.
But once it's established, I know like in some of the novels and some of the comics, it's like, well, yeah, you know, going from Iowa to San Francisco is a big step, even in that time. And
yeah, and I only remember I only really know it from Star Trek: The Next Generation. I know there has been other stuff that's pursued it, but that's where I know it. And yeah, I always liked how it was a little thing that would kind of like capture your imagination, like hearing Picard talk about Boothby, or like him being like a wild student at Starfleet, like that's he always was, you know, like so in his wild oats in Academy is what it sounded like, and had this reputation from back then, and like we saw glimpses of it, and I do kind of like, I always wanted to see more of it just because of what we heard about it in Next Generation, but in retrospect, I'm kind of happy they didn't show us more than they did at the time, just because like it did keep it like this magical thing in our imaginations.
Yeah.
I think I think when Marvel had one of the licenses for Star Trek, I think they might have done a mini with Starfleet Academy, and I'm sure there's stuff, again, more stuff in the books and novels, you know, that kind of stuff. But is
there a show in the works for this too?
I don't know. I know that the show that's coming up, what's the name of the show that's coming up that's with Kate Mulgrew?
Prodigy, the animated series.
That might touch on it some.
Right. But they're not Academy kids. They're trying to learn what the Academy kids learn, but not in Academy.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember if I heard that it was going to be made. It's one of those things. I mean, where Star Trek is like vastly expanding.
Yeah,
their properties like currently now, and it's one of those things where like even if it's not announced, I can't imagine that somebody somewhere doesn't have that idea and hasn't pitched that.
Sure,
because it is a brilliant idea to do sort of like, you know, your teen angst stuff, couple it with Star Trek in the like, you know, the optimism of it,
right.
And yeah, I would love to see it. I would, you know, I want to see somebody. I don't know. My excitement for it would depend like who's running it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I would certainly check out anything regarding it if it was to happen.
Yeah,
you know,
because I seem to remember there was an episode where Q basically gives Picard a road not taken type thing with stuff, choices he could have made at the Academy, right?
Right. It's
Tapestry, right?
Sounds right.
The Academy early in his career, it's when he gets stabbed.
Yes.
He almost dies at some point early on, and in this one he does not, and becomes a completely different person because he was safer.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
It's one of my favorite hours of television ever.
Is
that episode. I love that episode.
But yeah, that's my choice. Starfleet Academy.
Okay.
Nice.
Thanks.
Nice pick.
But Zach, it's currently in development. They're trying to bring that into a show.
It is? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
All right. So for mine, I am going to pick Clifton. I'm going to need a spotter on this. Okay. I'm going to go with Gotham Academy.
Okay.
That's on my list.
Okay.
And Frank's read this one too, so Frank knows.
I've read most of it, but it was on my list for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think you guys stuck with it a lot longer than I did. I read it for the first like 12 issues or so, whatever it was, before it got like the rebrand. Remember? Because like it came back as second semester, and I did like a new number 1
right
for it. That would that stuff I haven't read just yet, but it's it's basically it's a private school in Gotham, where they solve mysteries.
Pretty much,
yeah,
kind of,
pretty much. And it's interesting that it's like, it's Becky Cloonan and Brendan Fletcher, and apparently DC approached Becky Cloonan with like interest of wanting to do a Batman book.
Right.
And they're like, do you have any interest in doing a Batman book? She's like, sure, I'll do a Batman book. And she didn't like it. She's like, I'm going to do this.
Right.
And they're like, really? Like, you don't want to do something with like Batman? She's like, no. Like, we're going to do this.
Right.
They were the writers. Carl Kerschel was the artist with them.
Right.
Yeah.
And they were all studio meets at the time.
And I just really, really liked it. I liked it, as with all things Gotham, there's an idea that there's something more to this school that they're all going to, possibly nefarious.
Right.
We don't know. And I just liked that these kids were like exploring it, kind of getting in over their heads and, You know, it had kind of a Scooby Gang kind of feel to it because they were young. They were these kids were like, you know, whatever, like 13.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
You know,
they were
like,
either middle school or the young end of high school.
Yeah,
like 14 maybe. Yeah, main character was Olive, and the other main character was the always great Maps Maguchi.
Yes, I was gonna say that's the one thing.
Love drawing maps.
Yeah, always love Maps. Maps is amazing. So, but yeah, no, it's a fun book. I remember reading, like you said, probably all the way through the first to the rebrand, and then I read a couple to the rebrand, and then I don't think I finished it, but I did love it. I thought it was great when it was out. It was it was definitely different than other Gotham Central type books, and I don't mean like the procedural or the cop one. I mean just books that take place in Gotham.
Yeah,
you know. So, but it was great. Like it was definitely had a feel for me that I thought at any point there would be some announcement of they were going to do it as an animated.
Right.
Yeah,
because it definitely lends itself to that. But unfortunately, we never got that, which I still think would be fun to explore. And I don't know, other than Maps appearing in like the most recent Batman Black and White, I don't know if anyone has done or is doing anything with those characters.
Right.
Yeah, not that I know of either.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody's like popped up. I think if anybody would, it's certainly Maps. She seems to be like kind of the standout of that book.
Right.
Well, yeah, I think had it like not played closer to whatever was going on, but just I think like if you did the guest star thing a little bit, you know, right? Like if you kind of like peripherally saw like Tim Drake,
well,
and stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Don't we get a little bit with Damian? Damian's in it for a couple issues.
Yeah,
but I mean, I also thought the other thing I thought, and this is just when I remember when we talked about it at the time. I remember when it was coming out that my big theory was that Olive was a lot closer to Bruce Wayne than we thought.
Right.
You know, the idea of who her parentage was and or who her mother was someone I thought was a lot bigger deal, and it didn't seem to be.
Yeah. Right.
And I don't want to spoil it if you haven't read the book, but it was definitely one of those things where I thought, oh, this is going to turn into something major, and it never did. So it just might have been my, one of those things where I had expectations that weren't there, but
right.
I liked that it introduced Bookworm to continuity.
That was true,
and it made him like a teacher over there, which was cool. Like,
oh yeah, no, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of cool little, there's some overt and some cool, smaller stuff. Like that's one of the ones that I thought was great too. Because I think it's one of those characters from the 66 show that could make sense in I don't think he's just a poor man's Riddler. I think Bookworm could be really cool. So
yeah,
I did too.
Yeah.
So yeah, Gotham Academy.
Yeah.
I do think I think one area we may see it, Young Justice.
Yeah.
Right. I think Young Justice season 4 maybe we get some playing around with it. I think because there is a little bit of private school stuff that we see Dick Grayson going to, Barbara going to when they were like younger in the first season. That wasn't Gotham Academy. That was a different school because that book didn't exist. But I feel like had it, they probably would have made it that.
Yeah. Yes. And Artemis went to that school too.
That's right.
Right. So, all right. Let's go around for our number ones. Clifton, you're up.
All right. So for this one, I'm going with a entertainment empire from Canada. And that is Degrassi Community School.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. I'd have bet money on it.
I almost said this one just to mess with you, Clifton. But I thought,
there would have been a fight. I would have been throwing fists.
I have nothing to back it up with other than the name. So I was like, nah, don't do that.
Wow, that'd have been
cold-blooded.
Yes.
But if anybody knows me, they would know I would go for Degrassi Community School because I've been watching the stories of this place for most of my life. So Degrassi started in 1979.
Wow.
As a series called The Kids of Degrassi Street, which was a Canadian series of, I never saw any of this one. I did never see any of this one. This was before my time a bit. But it sounds like it was a series of what we would think of as after school specials at the time. But I did jump on again, not when it started, but as it was running, Degrassi Junior High, which started in 1987. And then so Degrassi's been running since 79 with Degrassi, The Kids of Degrassi Street, then into 1987's Degrassi Junior High, then continued to 1989's Degrassi High.
Wow.
And then 2001's Degrassi The Next Generation and 2016's Degrassi Next Class. There was a 10-year gap between Degrassi High ending and Degrassi Next Generation beginning. But other than that, it has been on the air since 1979 until about 2017.
Wow.
So that is a long, long run for a show.
A lot of people noticed the show Drake was on.
Yes. So yeah, I was going to bring up the alumni from the show. He is the most famous is Drake, who played Jimmy. He was one of the longtime cast of what was a revival at the time when the show came back in the early 2000s. His character Jimmy is the victim of a school shooting and spends much of his run on the show in a wheelchair. Like there have been some other people that came off the show that you'll still see around. Nina Dobrev came off of the show around that same time period as well. She went on to Vampire Diaries and a bunch of other shows. Okay. She's in Perks of Being a Wallflower, the film, as the main character's older sister. And then on Superman and Lois, Leslie Larr was Ellie Nash on Degrassi the Next Generation. So she plays the Morgan Edge assistant currently on Superman and Lois.
Okay.
I loved Ellie Nash. She was one of my favorite characters on that run. But yeah, Drake, definitely the most famous to come off of the show. And what is interesting is like he's not afraid to admit it to either. Like he talks about growing up in Toronto all the time. Like he's not ashamed of, that his start was on what is essentially an after-school special show. It's an edgy show, but it's all about lessons. Like they're teaching kids lessons. It's just they're teaching kids about like gonorrhea of the mouth and stuff, which we don't necessarily cover in our American after school specials, but they're not afraid to go there. No, that was a storyline.
The American ones are all about the dangers of angel dust and flying out windows. That's what those American ones are all about.
Not the gonorrhea of the mouth. Not that is a storyline they covered in the Degrassi The Next Generation early on. But yeah, Drake in 2018 released a song called I'm Upset. And for the music video for I'm Upset, it is him going to his 10-year high school reunion at Degrassi Community School. And he brought back the entire cast of Degrassi The Next Generation, including other people who appeared like Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes appear in the music video because they did do special appearances on the show at the time. Kevin Smith grew up watching it as well. It aired in PBS in America. And yeah, like the video, like I loved the video because it was just taking me back to that whole time. So that's my favorite, Degrassi The Next Generation. There's also a really good Venture Brothers joke about it in, I think, season 2, which like we didn't talk about. Like there's several jokes in Venture Brothers that I swear are only written for me and nobody else.
Right.
And that's one of them. And it's the sea captain named his ship Manny's Song. And when he's asked about it, he tells this whole story about how, Manny was his love until this gadabout Craig came and stole her away and goes into this whole thing. And then eventually, shortly, he's like, Captain Cuckoo named his boat after Manny Santos on Degrassi.
That is awesome.
That's mine. Degrassi Community School.
Okay. Awesome. Good pick. Tommy, number 1.
Again, I think the stuff I thought of is a bigger love to other people. So just to be nice, I didn't bring it up. Yeah, I have
Too late.
2 for Frank. Oh no, I'm not gonna say it. I have two. I think Frank's still gonna say.
Oh,
I have 2 that Zach might say.
Well, that's easy.
Yeah,
no, I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Okay. See, but then it makes me say, maybe we should go for it.
I think my number 1, none of you guys are gonna guess.
Tommy, play the card you got. Play it.
Okay, all right. I was gonna go with Bayside.
Yeah, how is that not your number 1, Zach?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Or Bel Air Academy. It's gonna be one of those 2 that I thought he was gonna pick. So I didn't pick that.
What was the second one?
Bel Air Academy.
Oh, Bel Air Academy. Okay.
Yes.
Bel Air Prep.
Bel Air Prep. Sorry.
Yep.
But I went with one that was already mentioned earlier because I've read all 6 books. Didn't care for the movie because the movie made it a bit less wondrous because I thought it'd be more grander. It's Hogwarts.
Okay.
Yeah. Still now, if for such a to me a new property, even though it started in 1997, it's the one thing people think about when it's magic school now.
Yeah, it's the only thing.
It's
Yeah.
and it used to be other stuff as well, but it by far has taken over that site of what it is and what it can be as far as boarding prep school, magic school, I guess. Founded in the 10th century by Godric Gryffindor, Rowena Ravenclaw, Helga Hufflepuff, and Salazar Slytherin. I didn't know this, but it was in Scotland.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought it was in England, but anyway, Hogwarts.
All right.
I'm sure you're all well aware of it.
Except for Zach, who's never seen any of the movies.
I've heard of it.
It's a school, right? For magic children?
Yeah, Zach.
I've heard of it. I've not seen any Harry Potter stuff except for the first Fantastic Beasts.
Right.
Which I like. I like a lot.
That's not even Harry Potter.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And you've never read the books, right? And you've never read the books.
Never read the books. Never watched any of the movies. Nothing.
I've never read the books either.
Okay.
There's going to be like a drinking game that starts with our episodes of like, how many times does Zach bring up he's never seen something?
Yeah.
and I've seen like a movie and a half, but that's about it.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
So.
Oh, well, I'm certain both of you will see more in the future.
Okay.
Or even read it because again, despite the terrible acts of the author recently, it's still a great book.
Yeah.
But no, that's it. I'm gonna keep it short. Hogwarts.
Okay.
I'm not.
Frank, number 1.
I have a guess.
I don't think you'll get this one because you already took my number 1.
Yes. Oh, yes, I did.
You took that
but
one.
You want me to say what I have?
Sure.
And then
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say Sunnydale.
That's not a bad one, but go ahead.
And then if not, I was gonna say, well, Clone High or Galaxy High.
Ooh, I had Galaxy High was definitely penciled in, and then I went, nah.
Yes,
that's too. I've done that one a million times too. Clone High is what I should have thought of. I'm surprised I didn't think of that one.
Yeah, that's great. I wanted to say that.
I agree. You could have. And then Sunnydale's like obvious. No, I went with for my I don't know if it's mentioned on my number 1, but I do think I would like to go there. If I had to go there, if I would, is the from the Kingsmen, the school from the Kingsmen, the one that's ran by like Mark Strong, Merlin.
Okay, yeah, the Kingsman Academy.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite bits in that whole movie is the thing of like that whole all the training stuff they do. Like I would probably die. I'd wash out immediately. I don't think I would make it. That's the thing. I'd be like, no, there's no way. I like when they do the thing with the flood, like when they flood the room. That part's really cool. When they're doing the skydiving thing, I'd probably die in that too. But otherwise, I think it's awesome. It's one of the things. I like that movie a lot. The first one's really great. I like the second one, but the first one's. I think that whole that training sequence is really cool because a lot of times those training sequences are okay in movies, but I like that one a whole lot. So I would like. I don't know if that's necessarily my number 1 because I think Community would probably have been my number 1. If given the chance. But yeah, I would go with that. I would go with the Kingsman, the Secret Service school, whatever that's called. I couldn't find the exact name. I think it just might be the Secret Service school.
Okay. Never seen it.
It's great.
And drink.
Yes,
drink. Yeah. and it's based on the comic.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think the new one looks really fun though, like the prequel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the because set in World War I with like Rasputin and stuff. That looks really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second one's terrible, man.
Yeah.
So terrible.
Yeah, I don't like it anywhere near. The first one's great. I love the first one.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I would choose because I think I just I said I don't think I would do very well, but I would try it.
So as much as I want to say Bayside, because they have 4-minute classes and that's where Kelly Kapowski went to school.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Hexside School of Magic and Demonics from Owl House. And I will...
I forgot something that was better than... Oh, sorry. Oh, my God.
Really?
Trying to sign, yeah. Oh, my God. You made me... Oh, okay, go ahead. I'll say
but I mean, like, it's set up like it's, it's certainly a reference to Hogwarts. Absolutely. But what I like about it, and this is what I like about the show so much, Owl House, is that it's such a good, like, here's kind of a regular high school thing that we all went through growing up, right? And now here's this like magical layer to it, right? Where your detention is instead of like being a room where you're like supposed to sit quiet and like do your homework or whatever, right? You know, it's like a room that they go into where they put the kids in the pods and they like try and brainwash them to like to start like behaving themselves.
Oh wow.
And there's like this weird, like, it's fun. The show is super, super fun and light, but there's like this weird like undercurrent of like just odd and strange, and it's also this spot, and I love any cartoon that does this, where it's like it's open enough and elastic enough that like sort of like whatever you create fits in that world, fits in those walls, right? Like you can make up any class for anything, and like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like we could do an episode on that, you know?
Very cool.
Yeah,
no, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I need to watch Our House, but oh my god, I'm crying inside because I should have said Break Bills from The Magicians. I love that show. If kids went to Hogwarts, adults went to Break Bills for university. I mean, oh my gosh. Break Bills is what you think a magic school would be if you gave magic to people now. Like people would change their looks to date women. You make special kind of drugs using magic. I mean, the list goes on and on. But I'm so mad. I should have said Break Bills. So
well, you got it in there. You got it in as your honorable mention.
There you go.
Oh my god! But it didn't give me time to gush about how much I love The Magicians. Oh, I love The Magicians.
Well, we're talking about Red Robin too much in this episode. So we're going to start closing out with what's a school we never, ever want to step foot in. But first, if you like the show, you can check out all of our episodes on YouTube at letmeknowhowitis.com. Just please, however you find us, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. And finally, if you have any topic ideas for us, you can send them our way on Twitter or in the comments. Our Twitter handle is our show's initials, LMKHII. All right. Clifton, school you never want to go to.
Sunnydale.
Okay. Yeah.
If you go to Sunnydale, chances are you're either gonna, turn into a vampire, be eaten by a vampire, killed by a demon, or just fall into the hellmouth.
Yeah, probably.
Yep. Yeah, probably. Yeah, definitely.
So that's the one I would not go to.
Or Cordelia is going to be really mean to you.
Probably.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's guaranteed in all scenarios.
Yep.
Yeah, not a good place to go to school, for sure.
Yeah. But they have a lot of old books in the library, so that's cool.
Right.
A lot of out of print stuff, it sounds like.
Yes.
Nope, good pick. All right. Tommy, what's yours?
Oh, Break Bills from The Magicians.
Okay.
Oh my god.
So you love it, but you would never want to go there.
I would never want to go there. In one instance, one of their classes, like everyone in the class dies because someone did a magical experiment wrong. It's crazy. Yeah. And the thing with drugs, with magics, the drugs are so powerful they went to another dimension and couldn't get out because they loved the high so much. I mean, there's instances of that. People learning so much magic that they can turn into a magical creature, which then they turn immoral. I mean, the things that happen in that universe is sick. No, thank you.
Okay. Frank?
I would probably not want to go to wherever the kids in 90210 go.
Okay.
I just don't think I would have a very good time there.
Mm-hmm.
I just, it's one of those things where everyone's, camera ready, basically.
Yep.
You
need sideburns.
And sideburns, they don't work for me, So right. I just think that would be the place I would not want to go, is anywhere the kids of Beverly Hills 90210. I would be, because again, the whole idea is that what's his name?
Jason Priestley.
Jason Priestley. Thank you. Jason Priestley is, yes, thank you. Jason Priestley is the fish out of water from being from Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, come on. Like, no one buys this premise, do they?
The school is West Beverly High School.
Thank you. If Jason Priestley is the kid that's the fish out of water and he has his tough time fitting in, and I'm like, that's not that guy.
I was weirdly thinking about 90210 yesterday.
Okay. And
I was thinking, I had a moment where I was like, they should do Luke Perry's character, like a young Luke Perry character, like a young Dylan McKay. I was a huge 90210 fan for a while. Young Dylan McKay. Then it hit me. I'm like, we got that. It's called 90210. Like, I forgot. I'm like, they're in high school in that show. That's right. Yeah. Good grief.
Yeah.
Mine is wherever they went to in 21 Jump Street.
Okay.
Not the movies. The movies sound fun.
They are.
I've seen the movies; they're fun. And those, if you're doing it for a comedy, that's one thing. But man, if your school is so bad, they're sending undercover cops there. That's not good. I don't want to be there.
Yeah. No.
No. That's a fair point.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So. All right, so let us know which schools we missed. Which one are your favorites? Hit us up in the comments or on Twitter. As always, we'll post links and examples to everything we talk about on letmeknowhowitis.com. Please remember to like us and follow us on social media. Thanks for listening, and we will see you guys next time.